up, guys? We are back with Relationships, Romance, and Propaganda podcast. Rachel says my intro was too long, so I'm trying to shorten it.
I did?
A while ago, you were like, let's do it quicker. People like to get into it.
Yeah, because like I feel like when we start talking, instead of like the whole intro, we got a ton of views. Maybe it's just the subject too.
Right.
But when I listen to podcasts, it's like, I just want to hear him jump right into it.
Right.
I don't want to hear a long intro.
So forget the long intro today. We're going to jump right into it. It's Imani, Shakur, and Rachel K. Burke.
We'll watch the views. We'll see if I'm right.
Yeah. We have the sexiest podcast on the planet. And we're going to jump right into it. Follow us
right
on
after
social
this
media. Yeah. YouTube, ICT Group Digital. Some stuff you have to say.
I know.
You know.
I say like...
But I didn't say all the other stuff, though, that I normally say.
I say promote at the end.
Promote at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Off. Yeah.
Sure, but usually I see people just sign off, though, the ones I watch. So
Sometimes
that's what I was like.
The true followers will listen to. Or like a lot of them, they take breaks in the middle where they'll promote stuff and mention it, yeah.
Then I see some of my favorite ones, like State of the Culture. They do a whole intro before.
Okay.
Every show. I said, I don't feel that bad.
Okay.
They do a whole intro before. So does the Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Okay.
And some I like don't.
I don't watch a lot, but I watch Brittany Ferland's worst.
So I think it's up to you. You know what I mean? But I do watch a lot, and some do and some don't.
Yeah.
It's like even.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I'd probably fast forward through it.
Yeah, probably.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Anyway, today we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk about how do you know if the relationship is toxic?
Yeah. How do you know when you're in a toxic relationship?
How do you know when how do you know when you're in a toxic relationship? And how do we know? What are the telltale signs?
Ooh, Imani,
is that a pretty easy one?
Have you been in a toxic relationship?
Yes.
I want to hear all about it. Me too. I feel like all of mine are toxic.
I think all of us have. The most toxic within the past few years was the dentist. I
knew you were going to say that. Yeah, it sounded like
that. That was the one.
Tracking your every move.
I always say that is the worst relationship I've ever had.
Yeah.
I still say that to this day, and I hope I never see something like that ever again.
Okay.
It was super negative, super toxic. But to me, the better question is, how do they become toxic? And why is it that when they become toxic, we decide to deal with the toxicity? That's the question I have. You know what I'm saying?
A whole lot going on.
Yeah, that's the question I have because I knew pretty early that this relationship was toxic.
I know, and it's like,
so why did I let it go on a few more months?
Right, because I feel like you get emotionally invested, and it's hard to back out of it. And especially like if you're with somebody who's like a narcissist or has narcissistic tendencies. They kind of like break you down. Even though
you know it's going to end and it's not going to last, you still go through the motion. And that's the part I don't get.
Yeah, I tend to be attracted to like, excuse.
Bless you.
Thank you. I tend to be attracted to people who have like two personalities.
Right.
So it's like they're great part of the time. It's like an abusive relationship almost, where you're like, but they're so great.
Right.
50% of the time.
Right.
And the other 50% they're insane.
Right.
But you know that other 50% is in there, the good part.
Right. So you think that's what makes you stay?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, because I just read this book that it's by a therapist. Who actually starts seeing a therapist because her boyfriend breaks up with her out of the blue, and she like has a meltdown. And she talks about a lot of her patients. Obviously, she makes up confidential names, but one of them was a 70-year-old lady whose children don't talk to her anymore because she was in a relationship, a toxic marriage with an alcoholic husband who beat her kids, beat her. And she was like, I stayed in it. And she said, I like to tell myself I stayed in it because back then women couldn't really support themselves. But she said, honestly, I didn't want to leave him because I loved the person he was and he wasn't drinking.
Okay.
And that's the reality of it. It's like you love the person
they are when they're not being toxic.
You love their potential.
Right.
And I always say you cannot be in a relationship with someone's potential.
Right.
Yeah. It's got to be them 100% of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what about you?
Ugh. When I was like 20, 21, so he's the guy I told you about. Cape Verdean guy. So I don't know. Cape Verde is an island kind of near Africa. So
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he was kind of black, but looked like more like Latino black.
Okay.
But he was very self-conscious of it. So that's what I was saying to you before. The guy that wouldn't meet my family because he's like, they're gonna think I'm the black guy, you know. And I was like, no, my family's not gonna think that.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, but he he became toxic when he drank. He was a mean drunk, but like nicest guy in the world when he wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
Because we worked together, and it's like he was like the guy in the office that everybody loved, super polite. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this to you before too. When we first started seeing each other, I had just moved into my first apartment. I was like 20 years old. And I said to him, he's like, do you have everything you need? And I said, the only thing I haven't got for myself is like a DVD player and a coffee maker. And he showed up to my house with a coffee maker and a DVD player. Wow. He was literally carrying a stack of boxes. And I was like, oh my God, like nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then he got drunk one night, and I was on the phone with his friend in the other room, his friend Pedro, who was like not attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the phone with him, and I think he was trying to set Pedro up with like a girl that was there. And so I went in the other room because Pedro was like, hey, go in the other room. Tell me if this girl's really cute. Like, what's up? Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to him about this other girl. And my friends come on, they're like, we're going to leave. Like, he's really mad. And I was like, what? And I go in the other room, and he throws his phone across the room and was like, like, we're over. Like, what are you trying to hook up with my friend? Like,
oh my goodness.
Threw a fit out of nowhere. I'm like, because I was talking to your friend on the phone? That's so weird. And then the next day, it's like nothing happened.
Right.
And that was our entire relationship. Was he would get drunk and be mean. Because it gets worse and worse. It's like emotional abuse, but you can't justify it because it's not physical abuse. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, he gets drunk and says mean things. Like, people are like, gonna be like, so what? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it was like every time he would just say mean things to me, make me cry, make me feel terrible.
Yeah.
He had broken up with a girl that he was with before me. And like, he'd get drunk. He'd be like, I'm going to go be with her because she's the one for me.
Wow,
like throw that, always threatening to break up with me every weekend.
Yeah.
I like basically, calling me promiscuous. Like, I watch your eyes when we're out. I see the way you look at other guys.
Goodness.
Like, jealous, insecure psycho.
Yeah. Same thing I dealt with. And why do we stay with that? It's so funny because I was just telling me and my mother was talking the other day, and I said, Mom, you know what's interesting? Lisa is the type who would point out another good-looking woman if we're out.
Me too.
Whereas
Me too.
My ex, the dentist, she got mad if I just said hello to a woman I've known for years.
She's
we're
a
just
cashier,
friends.
yeah.
I mean, what caused the biggest fight?
Yeah. Just
because I said hello to just a friend that I knew.
Right.
So again, I mean, as much as I hated that, to me, the better question is, and I know you're saying that because we like when things are normal, it's like, why put up with that?
Right.
It just... I mean, even when I think about it today, it still upsets me. It was just like, why put up with that? It was so ridiculous.
I think I would never put up with
one time we went to 1909 to eat, and she had a friend in town, and we all was hanging out, and I happened to run into a friend of mine who happens to be a cop, who I've known way before. I mean, I've known her almost 20 years. Her and her friends were in town on a girls' trip. Her and a group of other police officers. Okay. They were just in wine country on a girls' trip. Rented some hotels for the weekend. Wine tasting all weekend. Happened to run into him in 1909. Yeah. Soon as I saw her, big hugs. Hey, what's up? How you been? Blah, blah. And I forgot who I was with. Okay. Boy, was that the biggest fight. Okay. I was like, are you kidding me? I've known her 20 plus years. I used to know her ex-husband. He and I are still good friends. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? It was, Oh, Rach, it was so toxic.
Yeah.
It was so toxic,
So
man.
it sounds like it just stems from like insecurity, which spawns jealousy.
Yeah.
And it just manifests itself in these unhealthy ways.
Yeah.
But
very unhealthy ways.
so this guy was the one that I told you put the tape recorder in my car.
Yes.
Because he literally created a self-fulfilling prophecy because he was so afraid I was going to cheat on him that I cheated on him.
Right.
Because
he kept putting that energy out.
Because he drove me crazy. And I was like, you
Yeah.
already think I'm doing it anyways. Might as well be doing it. You
He
know?
kept putting that
might as well
energy
go
out.
have some fun in Cancun.
Right.
But here's my question.
And I used to always say the same thing. Hold on, I don't mean to break your thought.
yeah.
I used to always say the same thing. Me and Crispy would always say, man, she treats you like you're cheating. You might as well cheat.
Right.
And I never did, but it was just so funny.
Right. Might
it's
as well.
just what you're saying anyway.
You're
go
already
ahead.
being punished for it.
Exactly. I was being punished for it, and I wasn't even doing it.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
But this is my question. Is there anyone that those people are actually compatible with?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because this guy was with the girl before me for 6 years, and then after us ended up getting back with her. To my knowledge, they're still together to this day. They had a kid.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, how does she deal with him? Like, that toxic behavior. Do you just... Because the guy I just, I guess, broke up with, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to
yeah.
want to be back together tomorrow. I would sense a little bit of that in him with his mood swings. And I would say to him, nope, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
This is not you.
Right.
If you're going to behave like this, you can leave.
You would tell him that?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because I think everyone needs to go through at least one toxic relationship because you identify those patterns
Right.
so you don't repeat it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if a girl acts like the dentist now, you're going to be like,
oh, in a
no.
second. I
There's
said,
the
if
door.
someone else ever does that, I'm gone immediately.
Right.
Yep. And I had never experienced that before, ever.
Right.
Yep.
So it's so funny because he ended up with this other girl, and I'm like, does this other girl just not care? Like, if he acts like gets me drunk, is she just like, whatever, go to bed? You know what I mean? Because that's kind of my attitude now. But back in the day when you're 20 and you're you're barely still a teenager, everything's heightened, your emotions are heightened, and I would cry every weekend and get upset and like, don't leave. And now I'd be like, there's the door, bye. Don't let me hit you on the ass.
Exactly.
Right. So I don't know. I always used to think that. I'm like, does she deal with him differently? Like, because part of me thinks that he wanted to just like be babied. And this new guy too, I feel like wants to be babied. Like he would just, man, poor me. I don't feel attractive, and I have all these issues. And it's like, shut up, like man up.
That's what I said.
My friend Kimberly,
man up.
She just goes, it's like selfish mood swings. Like, suck it up.
Right.
He's like, guess her husband gets moody too sometimes.
Right,
she's like, just like suck it up, for me.
Right.
Yeah, like stop being a big baby. And it was funny because with him, when I stopped chasing him and I started being like, because every weekend he'd be like drunk, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
And I'd be like, don't leave. Stupid 20-year-old me. No. And of course he would never leave.
Right.
By the end of that year, I was like, there's the door.
Peace, deuces, yeah.
So you know what he'd do? He'd leave and then he'd come back 5 minutes later and be like, I forgot my cigarettes.
Right.
And then he'd just stay. And I was like, because you just want me to baby
right. You just want,
you.
Exactly.
Big baby.
Really don't want to leave.
No.
Right.
So I think this guy, like, I swear he likes that too. He likes like the baby. And I was like, I am not doing this again. Like,
That's
no
funny.
way. So I told him, like, because he would get in those moods, I could see, like, I was like, I think he has that mean tendency in him. I was like, I bet when he drank, that's probably why, I think this is why he's sober. Right. He said that girl that he was with for 5 years broke up with him because he would get mean drunk. And he said by the end of our relationship, she was like, I can't do this anymore. And broke up with him. And I can see, because he can get like that when he's not even drinking. It's just like those mood swings. And I was like, if you start saying mean stuff to me, I don't do that. You're out. You can go. Because when he brought up like I thought he was being mean. He actually, I think, was just being honest, because he was like, well, you've been with all these men, and I was like, what are you talking about? I've been with all these men. Did I tell you that? Right. And he was like, I think I said something when talking about my ex, like that I had a lot more experience than he did. And that's why he wanted a threesome, because he didn't have a lot of experience.
Right.
He must have hung on to something little that I said like that. It built it up in his head that like, I have all this experience. But I thought he was being toxic and he was being mean. And it was like, you know, you've been with all these men. And I was like, nope, you go there, you leave.
Right.
And he's like, no, I'm not being mean. You just said that to me. And I'm like insecure about it. And I was like, oh, he's just being serious right now. He's not actually trying to be mean.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But it was starting to feel like that. It was starting to
with
feel
the new guy.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
It was starting to feel toxic.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's all fun and games until the mood swings swung in.
Right.
And then I was like, oh no,
then you're like, this is gonna become toxic.
Got another personality. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the good thing was he was very self-aware, because my toxic ex in Boston was a total narcissist. And like he didn't think anything was wrong with him. Like he would wake up sober the next day and be like, hey babe, had a great time last night. Right. He like literally romanticizes our relationship. He still will message me on LinkedIn. Yeah. Like quote song lyrics we listened to, like, oh, that was the best time of my life, you know? And I'm like, are you high? Like that was not a good relationship. That was literally, I cried every weekend. Like that literally was so toxic. You were a jealous lunatic.
Right.
Yeah. But what that makes you do is either makes you cheat on them or it makes you want to cheat on them. Right. So I started talking. I remember there was this like young kid, Mike, that had started at our work. And he was like really hot. He was young. Yeah. But he was like really cute. And so we like smoked pot sometimes. Like they had like a night shift where you'd work like 12 to 8. And so we took a dinner break at like 4. And so sometimes like we'd go on like drives and smoke a joint and go back to work, get some fast food. You know, 20-year-olds do. So this, like, sometimes this guy, Mike, and I and like friends would go for a drive, and like this dude was so jealous. Mike Diaz. He was like this little Latino hottie. Yeah. And I remember Mike called me one day when I was in the car with my ex, and he was like, I know exactly who that was. You didn't even have to tell me. Like, he just knew it. He was so jealous of this guy, but like I wasn't hooking up with the other guy. Like we were just friends. I think he just saw this young, handsome guy. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, toxic people though. I mean, anything sets them off.
Anything.
There's nothing about them that's happy. You know what I mean? Nothing about
the littlest thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was so traumatizing, Rachel, that even my mother jokes about it to this day. Yeah. About the dentist. Right. My mom jokes about it to this day. She's like, boy, if that was so-and-so, she would imitate her. And my mom has me cracking up because she would call my mom complaining.
Oh, no.
Yeah, for nothing.
How long were you with her?
8 months.
Okay, almost a year. Yeah.
Almost a year, man.
Too. Longest year of my life.
Oh, my goodness. It felt like 2 years.
Yeah.
You know I know. That was so traumatizing.
She was just crazy jealous?
Even my daughter goes, Dad, I didn't get attached because I knew you weren't going to put up with that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And she just kept tabs on your every move?
It was unbelievable. You know, I'm at my buddy's Mark birthday thing in San Diego. No, it was Crispy's birthday thing in San Diego. And she called, and I'll never forget. It was so ridiculous what she was saying. I literally just went off on her in the car.
God.
In the Uber. We were headed. We were staying in Little Italy, and we were headed to Gaslamp. Okay. To go get drinks at this one spot that we like. And I literally just went off. And my friends were like, Crispy and Mark were like, wow, I've never seen you like that before. Because I had to go off. Yeah. She was accusing me of something else. I'm just in the hotel. We were at the hotel. We had just checked in. Me, Mark, and Crispy. We were just getting ourselves together as guys for Crispy's birthday. About to get some drinks. And she hit me up accusing me and like, why haven't you called and all girls there? It was just some ridiculousness.
Oh, yeah. It's like how you behave in high school.
Exactly.
But it's like she was, what, a 30-something-year-old woman?
40.
Jeez.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, so she's got some deep insecurities.
And you're absolutely right. Never again. That was so traumatic. If someone even close to do that right now, I'm gone in a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that's what I was going to say. I think everyone needs to experience
that once.
At least once.
Yep.
Yeah. Only once, actually.
Only once.
So that you recognize those behaviors in somebody else and you go, nope, not doing that again.
I have no patience for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you know when you're in a toxic relationship? When you feel like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you know when you feel bad all the time? Like, more than 50% of the time
when you feel bad,
right?
And when you feel like, I know this is wrong, the way this person's reacting.
You feel trapped.
Yeah, like this is not right.
Because I stopped hanging out with my friends at one point. It's like I just was with him all the time. And I remember Kelsey telling me she was in a toxic relationship too, where the guy was really controlling. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I became like a shell of myself. And she said, my cousin saw me and was like, this isn't even your personality.
That's what my friends were saying.
Yeah.
That's my friend saying, man, Imani, you, like, when she was around, you weren't even your normal self, man. Right. You were like reserved, like you weren't just you anymore. Like, and that's what they'll do to you. Yeah. It's another sign when you don't feel like yourself.
Right. If you can't be yourself because I even felt like that with my ex out here in Orange County.
Because you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Like if you do anything wrong, the person's going to attack you. That's the way I felt in that relationship.
In my toxic one, yes.
Yeah.
With my ex in Orange County, I felt like I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. Like I had to censor myself. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say that was like toxic necessarily, but a little bit because it definitely wasn't healthy. Right. Because I didn't feel like I could be me. I felt like I had to censor what I was saying. I felt like I had to try to be someone I wasn't. Mm-hmm. Like, because he was always, just like talking about, fitness and this and that, like things he was in. And I knew he had this like ideal woman in his mind that he wanted. And so like, I felt like I was trying to be that person he wanted, but I wasn't. I'm like, I'm not the CrossFit girl. I don't want to go do CrossFit with you. And he definitely had mood swings too. Cause I wanted to, I don't know if we'll have enough to talk about to do a whole episode about this, but when I was talking about types with you, basically what this therapist said in this book that I just read is that your type is not, it doesn't have to do with looks or anything like that. It has to do with being attracted to people who bring you a sense of familiarity. Right. So it usually goes back to your parents. And my stepfather had a bit of a drinking problem growing up, and he did have those two personalities where he was like Mr. Fun half the time, and then when he was drinking, he was kind of a mean drunk. And I was like, oh man, I'm definitely, because I am definitely attracted to guys that have two personalities. Okay. This recent guy, night and day. Same thing. I never know who's going to show up. Right. Right. My ex in Orange County, less so, but he definitely did have like definitely good days and bad. Okay. Suffered with depression. Really, really nice and funny when he was in a good mood. But like, he was probably the first close to like healthy guy that I've been with. And I was like, oh, this is so nice and refreshing. I have like a healthy guy. And then once we were in it, he was like, so I do have depression in my family. And I was like, I knew there was a reason I liked him. Like, darn it.
Because there's a difference between like unhealthy and toxic. Yeah. I mean, both are not good. Yes. But toxic being the way worse of the two. Yeah. You know what I mean? But there's definitely unhealthy relationships I've been in, and that one toxic one that I've been in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they can turn toxic too. Because I had one ex in Boston that it was like great in the beginning. But he was also like a recovering addict and I didn't know. And as we got into it further and further, he basically replaced his addiction to drugs and alcohol with me. Okay. And he started acting like your ex, where he became, and he wasn't like this when we started dating though. Like, he was great. He had a social life. He had friends. He did his own thing. By the time we started living together, like we had only been together, maybe living together like 2 months, he like started acting like your ex, where he just wanted to know my whereabouts at all times. Yeah. I remember him calling my work over and over. And I was in a meeting, right? So I didn't answer. And I came out and like I had like 11 missed calls. It was like my cell phone, my desk. He had called the receptionist. And I was like, what is going on? Like I was in a meeting. Yeah. Like he would just freak out. I would have to lie. like if I went out with my friends, we went to a party that like, this guy was there that I'd hooked up with. I had to make up a whole story.
That's not good.
No.
When you start having to lie just for normal things,
for something
just to make them feel comfortable.
Didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah.
No.
That's not cool.
No.
Another sign you're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
When you have to purposely lie just to make them feel make up stories to make them feel comfortable.
When you didn't do anything
When you
wrong.
didn't do anything wrong. That's what I'd have to do too.
Yeah.
It's another sign.
Yeah.
That's how you know. I mean, and guys, the audience listening, the level of toxicity may not be as bad as it was with me and my ex, but it could even be like a small inkling of what we're talking about right now. If there's someone out there right now who feels as if, why do I have to lie if I'm just going out with my girlfriend or my guy friend? Yeah. You're in a toxic relationship. Right. I hate to tell you that.
If you break up,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you break up and get back together constantly, it's always off on.
You're in a toxic relationship.
You're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, that's true. Because it could be as subtle as, man, I feel like I can't even be honest and just You know what I mean? And that's one thing I have to say about the person I'm with now. It's so nice to be with someone that's not toxic,
secure,
where I could feel as if I can just be me and be free and don't have to feel like I'm on eggshells and tell her every single move. And she's completely fine and cool and she's not tripping about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And I remember those days where I would be going somewhere and thinking, man, I don't even feel comfortable going right now. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Just going where I'm going
all the time.
Now. All the time you feel like you're doing something wrong.
I remember like I became friends with this guy that I worked with when I was with my toxic ex. And we were just friends. He was married. He was cute, but he was married.
Yeah.
I think we had a crush on each other, but it's like he was married. So we just were friends. But at that company, it was a call center and he was a manager and you could listen. If you just typed in someone's extension, you could eavesdrop on their phone calls.
Interesting, yeah.
Because managers could, you could monitor the people's calls.
Right.
I swear he used to listen to my phone calls.
Okay.
Because I didn't tell him that I was like good friends with this guy because obviously he was a jealous psycho and he would have been crazy. But and like we didn't really interact much at work because my office was like in a different part of the building. But I remember my ex called me one night and he also had like really good intuition too. And the married guy beeped in because his wife was like bartending and sometimes he'd be home with their daughter and he'd just call me and we'd talk on the phone sometimes. And so I clicked over and I said to him, I told him I was on the other line with my boyfriend. And so I said, I'll call you back. And I clicked back over to my boyfriend. And I had to lie. And I go, I was like, and he was like, who's that? And I go, oh, it was just Nikki. And like, I remember either that night or the next day, he goes, I know that wasn't Nikki. And I was like, how did he know that? Like, did my voice give it away? I think he was listening.
Probably was.
I think he was listening on my phone calls.
Yeah, probably was.
I mean, if you put a tape recorder in my car, yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing. If you're in a toxic relationship or it feels like that, it's not you. It stems from like their own insecurities.
And issues and stuff that they're projecting on you.
Yes.
And making you feel bad as if you're doing something wrong and you're actually not.
Because misery loves company. And that's how I feel with this new guy too. It's like he's so he's such a good person and he really does have a good heart. But I feel like when he gets in those moods, he tries to bring me down.
Yeah.
And he'll say things to try to bring me down.
Bring you with
and it's like, no, don't try to bring me down to your level.
Right.
No, I'm not there. So if you feel like that, guys, get out.
Yeah.
Even if you love them, even if they're the perfect person, like 50% of the time, they got to get themselves right. That other 50, you can't. I don't know how people deal with it.
Yeah.
Unless you're the type of person that can just laugh off that other personality and be like, okay.
Yeah. And it's funny, before her, I had never seen that before. I always say that.
Okay.
And had I seen it before, when I got to her, I wouldn't have dealt with it. And now I would never deal with it. But I had never seen it before. I'd always heard about this type of woman, but I'd never seen it. Bless you. I had never seen it. But and in seeing it, I said, this is what I've heard about.
This is toxic.
This is what I've heard about in the movies. Like, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I have one. This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Rach, I had never seen it before.
That's funny. You experienced it like later in life.
Yep, way later in life. I had never seen that before.
So I think
ever.
usually people experience it when they're young because everyone's so insecure when you're young.
I never experienced it when I was young.
You know?
Yep.
I didn't have the confidence back then to break it off with this guy because I just like loved him and I wanted a boyfriend. And it's like now I'd be like, yeah, there are plenty of guys out there that don't have these issues by.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's interesting. But that's really sad that she is like that and she's in her 40s because like clearly she never grew out of that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, even my guy now, he's like mid 30s but he's newly sober. So I think he's just now learning lessons that we all probably learned about ourselves in our 20s.
Got you.
You know?
Got you.
It's like if you drink 7 years of your life away, like you kind of lost those 7 years. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, yeah, he's got to go figure himself out before he can be with anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean for this to be mean, but when he was talking about want to be with other women, I go, you're just going to be crazy with another girl.
Right.
And I didn't mean it the way it came out. And he goes, well, that was really hurtful, but true. And I was like, oh, I said, I don't mean it to be hurtful. I'm just saying you're literally trying to break up with me to be with other people. You're going to be the same exact person with someone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're still going to be insecure and have your mood swings and your addiction.
Because nothing's going to change.
Right. Like, okay, you're just going to do that with a new person? Cool. Let me know how that goes.
It'll be interesting to see if she ever worked that out. Last time I saw her was at the wineries with this guy. And
no, man, her 40s.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
But you know what? Who she's going to end up with is somebody who likes that type of crazy.
Right.
There are those guys.
Right.
You know.
Who, before she even asks where you're going, will call and tell her. Right.
Or that wants her to get mad because they want to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
That type of toxicity.
Yeah. Because like Gemini guys love to fight. I dated a Scorpio guy that like loved to fight. Like some of them get off on that fighting, that passion, that constant conflict. I have a Gemini girlfriend. She fights with every boyfriend. And I'm like, it's not them, it's her. She loves to fight. So she'll probably end up with somebody like that. And they're probably going to have a very toxic, unhealthy relationship where they probably fight all the time and make up. And that's just how it's going to be. I don't know. But my Gemini girlfriend is like perpetually single, the one that loves to fight. And she posts all these memes on social media about like, I deserve more and I deserve love. And it's like, girl, you don't realize you're the problem.
Right.
Like you haven't worked on your own stuff. She thinks it's all the men.
She thinks it's the guys.
Yeah. She thinks there's no good guys out there. And it's like, no, sweetie, you need to get yourself right.
Right.
You're not healthy enough to be in a healthy relationship.
Right.
So I think a lot of toxic people don't realize that they're toxic, unfortunately.
Oh man.
No.
Yeah. Is that it, Rach?
That's it.
I mean, we gave some gems, man. If you weren't sure if you were in a toxic relationship, we gave some telltale signs out there for our listeners. So hopefully
if you break up all the time, if you fight all the time, if they have split personalities, if you feel bad all the time,
if you're afraid to do things like normal things,
if you're forced to lie,
if you feel like you're walking on eggshells, you're with the wrong person.
Yeah,
it's toxic.
As painful as it is, it's going to happen eventually. So
it's definitely going to break up. Oh, it's inevitable.
I think I cheated on that guy because subconsciously I think I needed him to end it because I never would have.
Right.
I would have stayed in it forever.
Right. And it's funny, before we go, even with this ex, I didn't break it off, but I created the event for her to break it off.
Right. Me too.
Yeah. Which I knew she would.
Right.
Yeah. And it was something simple like, I'm going to San Diego with Crispy. And I knew she would be pissed and break it off, and she did. If you go, I'm breaking it off. Okay.
I know. I know. Yeah. All right. I know. It's like the guy this week. I'm like, okay, go with the girls. Let me know how that goes.
Right. Oh man.
I know.
Crazy.
I did the same thing because I don't think I was strong enough back then. Because I knew if I had broken it off with him, he would. We broke up every weekend. He would have just come back around and around and around. So I needed to do something concrete.
Yep.
Where he would break it off and keep it off. Right. And I did. And even though I tried to get him back after the cheating, it's like I look back now and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. It was only a year, longest year of my life. But I needed that to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Get out, guys.
Get out.
Plenty
Get
of
out.
healthy people out there.
Just like the movie, Get Out.
Yeah, but you got to be healthy too.
You got to be healthy too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's our show. It's another episode of Relationships, Romance, and Propaganda Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, ISCT Group Digital. Hit that notification button and follow us on social media. Don't forget, we're the sexiest podcast on the planet. RBTalkTruth@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Bye.
Get out of a toxic relationships.